Before we get started constructing your bag, I wanted to go through and give you some design tips to help you design your bag before you get started. There's a few things that you need to keep in mind. The first thing is you need to pick a handle style, and there's 3 different ones to pick from on the pattern. The first one is a leather handle. Second one is a fabric handle that you're going to cover yourself. You can actually leave it uncovered or cover it with any kind of fabric that you like. And then the third handle style is a purchased handle that's like a wooden handle that you can buy these at the craft store. The other thing I wanted to talk a little bit about was fabric selection. I like to, when I make this bag, kind of mix it up and use a few different prints. You can see on this bag, I've used one print for the outside of the bag, and then just to make it a little bit different, I've put a contrasting fabric on the bottom. I've also added a monogram to the front of this bag just to kind of personalize it a little bit more. If you want to mix and match your prints, but you're not really quite sure how to do it or go about it, then I would suggest sticking to prints that all come from the same fabric line, because as designers design fabric lines, they purposely design the prints so that the colors and the scale works together with each other. So if you kind of stick within a similar color palette and a similar theme, then it'll help your bag look cohesive when you're finished. The other thing I want to talk about is the different kind of prints you can use on the bag. As you can probably see from the example, I like making the bag with geometric prints. I've got some ginghams, some more modern geometric prints, and we've got the chevron too. There's a few other prints that I think would look really nice on the front of the bag. One of them is a large scale floral. You can see I've got 2 examples of that here. Both of these, because the flowers are a little bit larger, would look really nice on the bag because it would make a really nice statement on the front. You can also go completely the opposite direction and do a small scale floral. Technically this is not a floral, but you could do a small scale print. This print would be really cute. Given the kind of retro shape of the bag, this would be make a cute vintage bag if you wanted to do that. Here's another option for a floral. Like I said, it's just a little bit larger scale floral than something that's smaller floral like you see on the bottom of that bag. And then you don't even have to stick to florals at all. You could just do something, you want something that has got some pop to it, some contrast, some design elements, something that's gonna really stand out on the front of that bag. So there's a few of those options. And then you can even go a couple other ways. These are more traditional kind of fabrics, but there's also, you could do something really fun. One of these modern geometrics would be really, really cute on the front of the bag, especially if you're making the bag for a teenager or a young adult. I think something like that would really appeal to them. The other thing that you can do, these are all uncoated cotton fabrics. These are a nice high quality cotton. You can use what is considered a coated fabric or a laminate fabric, and this is an example of that. That's what this bag is made from. And you can see that it's got a shine on it. So what actually this fabric is it has a plastic coating that has been put on during the manufacturing process. And I love personally working with laminate fabrics. They're easy to keep clean. You can wipe them off. They're great if you're doing things, if you're making this bag for a kid to use as like a sports bag or a duffel bag, it would be a really good purpose for that because it'll help kind of keep it looking nice. But there's a couple things that you need to know when you're sewing with a laminate fabric. The first thing is, given the plastic coating on the fabric, when you run it through your sewing machine, it's gonna have a tendency to catch on your presser foot. So you're gonna wanna use a special presser foot on your machine. There's 2 that I like to use. This one is a roller foot, and I'll just kind of spin it, and you can see that this has little rollers on the bottom, and what that'll do is it just kind of lets the foot roll right over the top of the fabric. Doesn't give it any chance to stick to it because it's just going to keep rolling. The other foot that I use a lot is a Teflon foot, and this foot is just coated in the bottom with Teflon so that you can just glide very easily over the top of the fabric. Teflon feet actually come in a few different shapes and sizes, so this is just kind of an all-purpose Teflon foot that I'm using. The other thing to keep in mind if you're sewing with a laminate, you do not ever want the top of your iron to touch the laminate. So when I sew with it, I do iron it, but I'll just make sure that I always iron on the wrong side of the fabric. And then you do need to be careful when you're ironing on the wrong side of the fabric. If you have a seam allowance or something that's folded over, you need to be really careful to avoid that part of the fabric. If for any reason you do need to press on the front of the fabric, you're going to want to use some sort of pressing cloth. a lightweight dish towel or something, just to make it so that that iron is not coming into direct contact with the laminate. You can make this bag out of laminate very easily. I'm not going to specifically show steps for using the laminate because it's really not that much different as long as you keep in mind those 3 things that I told you about it.